Exploring God's Word, Lesson 3, Chart 4. Joseph. God reaffirmed his covenant with Jacob, Israel, and Jacob fathered 12 sons, Genesis 35, verses 22 through 26. One of Jacob's sons, Joseph, was chosen by God to be a preserver of the family of Jacob, Genesis 45 and 5. Joseph's dreams. Joseph was sensitive to the Lord and a person of high moral character. His brothers became jealous of him when they saw that their father loved him above the other sons. Later, Joseph had some dreams that suggested his brothers and mother and father would bow down to him. Genesis 37, verses 3 through 11. Joseph sold into slavery. One day when Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers, they saw an opportunity to rid themselves of him forever. After casting him into a pit, they sold him to some Midianite merchants for 20 pieces of silver. The Midianites took him into Egypt, where they sold him to Potiphar, who was one of Pharaoh's officers and a captain of the guard. See Genesis 37, verses 23 through 28. Jacob deceived. After having disposed of Joseph, his brothers took a goat and killed it, dipping Joseph's coat in the blood. They brought the coat to their father. In his despair, Jacob refused to be comforted and mourned with tears for Joseph. Genesis 37, verses 29 through 36. Meanwhile, Joseph did his very best as a servant to Potiphar. He served his master diligently. Potiphar made Joseph the overseer of all he had. Joseph took care of everything. Joseph's temptation. Potiphar's wife became infatuated with Joseph and daily tempted him to commit adultery with her. He steadfastly refused her advances until one day, as he fled from her presence, she grasped part of his clothing. Seeing that she was rebuffed, she contrived to accuse Joseph of trying to assault her, using his clothing as proof. Potiphar, his wrath kindled, put Joseph in prison. Joseph in prison. Even in prison, Joseph kept the right attitude, and he looked for opportunities to serve God. In prison, there were two men who had served Pharaoh, one as a chief butler and the other as chief baker. They both had dreams, which Joseph interpreted. True to Joseph's interpretation, the butler was restored to his office while the baker was hanged.